In this video, we're going to talk about what to look for on a high mileage 05 to 15 Xterra. Well, let's look under the hood. So what I mean by high mileage, I mean high mileage. Whatever you consider to be high mileage works for me. If you own a vehicle for the beginning and you still own it, you know what the mileage is. But you also should know what the maintenance has been. Maybe you didn't have a good paying job and you couldn't do a lot of maintenance and you neglected it. Maybe you inherited it. Maybe someone gave it to you. Or if you just bought a nice cheap used car and you have no records. What I would do, so you can know what's going on under the hood and under the chassis, is open your hood first, start from one side. I'm gonna start with the brake master. Pretty important, right? For you and everyone else on the road. You can shake it and see that this level is actually right about here. Max is here, so we're low. But that could happen just due to brake pads being worn out almost at the bottom. That's gonna bring that fluid level down. I'm gonna look at the condition of it. I wanna see if it's black, if it has traces of moisture in it. I won't be able to tell that by physically looking at it, but look at, that's how deep I'm going in there, and there's nothing. There's no fluid. So it is low. See if I can get the screen out. Nothing. So that's a good thing for me to pay attention when I get underneath this vehicle. I'm going to be looking for leaks, obviously, and I'm going to look on caliper seals, flex hoses, and if the pads are worn all the way down, that would be the reason for that. Evaporation also. But now we know we have a problem here. I'm going to fix that from the beginning, put fresh fluid in, and bleed the system so I know what's going on. Next would be the air box. Pop that open, check your air cleaner out, see the condition of it, see if it's been maintained. Oil level, you want to check the condition of it. If you just bought this, you don't know if the person did every 3,000, every 5,000, if they were faithful about it, or if there's engine sludge built up. The other thing, Nissan, radiator coolant. You know, if you've ever done any reading on Nissans, they've had some radiator problems where the transmission fluid mixes with the coolant, causes some major damage. Just pop it open, check for sludge. I've got brand new fluid here. I'm gonna say that someone took care of a situation and that never happened to this one. Battery, check your battery cables. Make sure they're tight. Condition of them, rot. Valve covers, check for leaks. Check your gaskets out, check your hoses out, check your belts. You know, if this is something you just, even if you only spent $1,500, it's $1,500 of your hard-earned money, right? So you want to pay attention to what you see here. Make a list, that's what I do. I'll get a little piece of paper, write a list of from important to not so important. Important would be make sure it gets to its destination, right? And gets to it safely. Up here, I see nothing that I have to be any major concerns about. I know she runs and starts because that's the way we purchased it. So now I'm gonna go raise her up. So now I've got it up about this high. I have a lift, obviously. Hey, if you do, kudos to you. If you have a floor jack, use jack stands, please. Just jack it up, let the suspension hang down a little bit, grab your tire on both sides. You're gonna do it 3 and 9 o'clock, and you're just gonna give it a quick shake like this, and then 12 and 6. And we're checking for suspension. Just a little movement. I've got a little bit right there. So nothing too bad, but if I'm not gonna do the repair, I know enough to go to my shop that I enjoy or have them work on my vehicle and say, there's something wrong on the front end. So write that on your list and check it off. All right, so now we're underneath the suspension area and I'm at the front of the bumper, the front engine compartment, and I'm gonna go back. Making my checklist, I'm looking, everything's solid, it's in place. Checking my frame for rot. I've got frame mounts, checking them. Suspension mounts, like the rubber bushings, make sure they're not split, sticking out. Ball joint boots, tie rod end boots. These are all things you wanna see. Axles, CV axles are in shape. No leakage either, nothing yet. I have no nice clean front differential. Check my mounts out. Mounts are nice. I mean, it is an 05, so I know that I'm gonna see some things that you know, wouldn't be there on a 15. You would hope not. So from underneath here, we are looking at the back side of your front brakes. We have a caliper here. This is the flex hose I was talking about. We're looking for any brakes, swollen metal fittings right here. These are pressure fittings, and they do get rotted and swell right up, and then that hose will just blow right off that fitting. We're looking for leakage around here. These are the caliper seals inside. Brake fluid will drip through those, and you're going to have a slow leaking pedal. This is where we're going to look for our brake pad wear. I can see from looking at that bracket that pad is worn halfway. So that tells me, if I don't find a leak anywhere, that is the reason for that fluid to be so low. It goes down with the pedal. The wear of the pads goes right down. Suspension-wise, these are pretty notorious also for what we call coil-over shocks. So they're like a strut, but it doesn't pivot. It's fitted in place. We have springs mounted with shocks. These coil springs on the Xterra are known for rotting and breaking. And these ones are still there, so that's a good thing for us. So one quick thing I want to talk to you about are your tires. Now, I did a video, if you check the library, I did a video on tires and what to look for and yada, yada, yada. But I'm going to show you real quick here. You buy a used vehicle, you don't know how old these tires are. This tread looks fine, right? Looks okay. You find on the tire where it says DOT, and after that raised surface, those 4 numbers, 38 week, year 18. So this tire was manufactured on the 38th week of 2018. So it's 2021. You do the math, it's not that old, but if that said something like 08, I wouldn't trust this tire on the highway. That rubber will break down. It could cause a blowout. You don't want old tires on your vehicle. So we talked about fluids earlier, so now we're going to check the front differential because this is a 4-wheel drive vehicle. The front differential on this Nissan is right below the engine, and the top little screw thing here with an Allen head, inverted Allen head on it, that is the check and fill. And there's a drain over on this side. We're not going to drain it. We just want to check the level, and we want to see the condition of this fluid. So that's a 10mm Allen head socket. Just turn it right out with your fingers here. And the fluid might drip out, it might not. Oh, good. So now I'm going to take my pinky finger, and the fluid should be about 1/8 of an inch down below. And we'll pull that out. Okay, so we have, looks like jet black. Oh, and she smells burnt. So let's see what color she is. Oh yeah, look at that. So what I would do here, we have no leaks. I want to check the vent. Every differential has to vent. And what I didn't see here is white foam. That would mean that water got in this differential. But let's check and see what the vent condition's in before I make my next move on how I would handle this, whether I drain and fill it or think about something else on it. Well, there you go. The vent tube isn't even attached. Right here, look, it's hanging off. There's the hose, and the attachment for it is right there on the top. Looks like it popped right off. So I didn't see any foam in there. So I'm gonna take my chances. I'm gonna reattach that vent tube. And then I'm gonna open this. I'm gonna drain and fill. I'll find out what manufacturers recommend for fluid, and I'll just drain, fill it with clean fluid, and then I have a record on the mileage when it was done. So we've gone from the front, we're moving our way back here. I've got training lines, a little rust right here, and I can see seepage coming out of that. I don't want that to happen because then I'll lose my transmission if that fluid comes out too much. Then I look back here on my transmission pan, it's seeping pretty good. I want to see if the fluid is from the above of the pan, up atop of the pan, and coming down. And it looks pretty dry up there on both sides. We do have vents, we have solenoids. There's shifter gears that have seals on them. Remember, fluid doesn't go up, it always comes down. So if it's only on the pan down, I'm gonna go with the pan gasket first. So that'll also help me when I take this pan down. I can see more history of this transmission, whether I've got chunks of metal in there or just what we call a metal, nice grind. That's a normal wear and tear for a vehicle with high mileage. I'll pan it up and I'll put the fluid back in, check the transfer case out. It's really dry. Transfer case has no leaks. I don't see anything anywhere. I've also already checked my U-joints, and you can just do that real quick by grabbing the drive shaft, giving it a wobble back and forth. And when I get this thing registered and I get it on the road, I'll be able to tell if I feel a shake. I'll tell it whether it's tire shake or drive shaft shake. Drive shafts will shake when the U-joints are frozen. Not so much when they're loose. They make noise and vibrate. You'll know when they're loose. But when they're frozen, it's actually worse, I think, than loose. So we have a transfer case here. Let's check the fluid condition in this one. And it's the same Allen head, 10 millimeter. Break that free. I'm gonna put the pinky in. Like I said, about 1/8 down should be the fluid level. And we get that black gray again. Doesn't smell burnt, which is a good thing. But you know what? I'm gonna drain and fill it. I'm gonna go to find out from the manufacturer specs, and I'm gonna get the proper fluid, and I'll drain it. The drain is right here. They make it really easy for you. So you have another 10 millimeter opening right here and a fill. It's gonna take about 1 quart, maybe 1.5 quarts. And we'll put some transfer case fluid in it after we drain it out. So now I'm midway. I'm after the transfer case. I've got my rear drive shaft. I already checked that U-joint. Just gave it a quick wobble, and I see this. The gas tank strap is rotted and gone, hanging down. So this gas tank is literally being held up by one strap. So this is what I call a needs to be fixed before we drive it down the road. So that's gonna be at the top of my list priority. We have the rear differential. We have leaf springs, frame I've been looking at, exhaust I've been looking at. I see a couple exhaust gaskets up in the front there. That's gonna be down further on my list because I wanna make sure the thing's sound before I keep putting money into it. I got no tears or holes, no leaks on the differential. Rear shock, these are original. It's an 05. Top of the bell housing's rotted off. Same with the links. I can tell they're original. So I'm gonna end up replacing these for comfort, ride. Now I can look at the brakes. I already looked at the front when I was up there. I'm gonna look real quick just through the fender well because I don't want to take tires off if I don't have to. Everything's dry and I can see the pad. And sometimes if you turn the wheel while you're looking at it, wow, I don't have much left on that. They're like an eighth inch thick. So brakes are definitely gonna happen before I get on the road and go down. Now we're gonna check the rear diff. So this thing is a 14 millimeter. I was like, whoa, what do we get back here? Dana rear end? It's just a little inside joke. But that's the size here. So no leaks, great, I like that. But I'm gonna break it free. We'll check the fluid level out and the condition. This almost looks like it's been replaced. There we go, there's that fluid. So I know it's full, and I can smell it, and it is black. So I can say this much about whoever owned this. Maintenance, as far as the transfer case differential goes, was not priority. Good news is, we can drain and fill it, because that's one of the nice things about some of these cars is that they come with an actual drain plug and a fill plug on the differential and transfer case. That's an easy peasy. So drain it, fill it with the proper fluid. We'll keep record of it and then we'll know from there. Okay, last couple of things to do back here. Flex hoses, those are really important. Once again, brake lines, checking for tears, rot. The metal's kind of iffy. The flares are kind of rotted right up there. No, I'm not too worried about it yet, but that'll be like mid-range on my list to repair. Important, obviously. That's important to repair. So let's check the spare tire frame. Spare tire is full size, nice. Frame's a little, the rim I mean, is a little iffy once pressure's on going down the road, but I hope I never need to use it. I'll probably get one maybe in a little bit. Nothing too important for me. Replace that. Let's see if this thing has a hitch on it. And it doesn't. So I know it's never towed because it has no hitch. It doesn't even look like they had one and took it down. So this was not used as a towing vehicle. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I had fun making it. If you are not already a subscriber, please subscribe. Don't forget to ring that bell. That turns on all your notifications, and you can see thousands more of our videos in the library.